Okay, so this first video is going to focus on some of those important terms, especially on free response questions, that will indicate what you need to do on each of those parts. So the first term or terms is to justify and explain. And what this does, it indicates to the student that you need to support your answer with prose, equation, calculations, diagrams, and graphs. Sorry, I misspelled the word would in there. But again, you can do one or the other. You can write out, a paragraph. You can use equations and calculations. Okay, but you just need to justify the answer, especially if it's like yes, no, or yes or no, justify. It could be student one, student two, justify. Okay. The next is to calculate. Okay, so calculate means that you're expected, and you can see that term in there, right? You are expected to show work leading to a final answer, which may be algebraic or numerical. So this means you need to write formulas down, show substitutions, and then show your final answer. And then what is and determine means that work is not necessarily to be explicitly shown to obtain full credit. So if you show some work, it may be just write a formula down and then the answer, but the work is not necessarily there to obtain your full credit. Derive is more specific, indicates the student needs to begin their solutions with one or more fundamental equations. Derive means typically it's in that excuse me, the more algebra-based type questions. Okay, derive an equation for this, derive an expression for the velocity, derive an equation for the amount of work done. So you don't have a numerical answer in the end. And now the next two are going to really focus on the graphing part. Okay, so sketch means to draw a graph that illustrates key trends in a particular relationship. The main thing about graph or sketching is that it doesn't have to be exact. It just needs to show the general shape. So if you know that your function is, let's say, it's a position versus time graph, and you know it's going to be parabolic, and you know you're going to have initial velocity, right? So you need to show a general parabolic shape, indicate your initial velocity is there, your initial, not initial velocity, but your initial position as it is at this point. Okay. Also, with this one, if you have changes in velocity, you need to show that there's a drastic change. I can think of a question where it talks about a dog on a skateboard, where it's like indicate at T something when the dog jumps off the skateboard. Now, if you do it mathematically, the difference is it's not a big difference. However, if it's a sketch, you need to show that, before the dog is off the skateboard, it's going slower than it is after. And then the last thing, plot. Okay, plot means to draw the points given in the problem on a provided grid or graph, either using the scale or their scale, or indicating the scale in units when, this should be when none, right, are provided. And let me go scratch that H out of there. Okay. Now, so the difference really between sketch, plot, and they also use another word of draw, kind of means the same thing as plot. So if you see a nice grid, that's an indication that it's going to be a plot. So you need to actually plot the data points, right? And so what does that mean? I need to go in and do okay, and then I draw a line of best fit through there. Okay. So there's your difference between plot and sketch, and that's very important. So these are just some of the key terms really centered around the FRQs, the free response questions. Just give you a little indication of what to expect when doing that.